Well, there we are. All present and correct. Usual suspects. Marion, my little smashers. Melanie, of course. And me. Not the easiest of meetings. 2 Happy Meals. And only 1 male figurine, which went to Rhys. Rhys had the Count Dooku. And Alan was lumbered with Queen Amidala. He wanted a Yoda. He was saying we got that I want a Yoda. And I foolishly promised him a Yoda. I said, you leave it to Dad. But there wasn't a Yoda. As I said to him, Yoda, is there not in bag of meal happy? He didn't like that. He was on the floor, having a real, one of his real fits, his big fits, going round in circles on his side. If you've never seen that, you can't imagine it. With the Amidala in one hand, the McFlurry in the other, ramming her head into the McFlurry, trying to drown her. You can't drown. You can't drown in the McFlurry. But he was giving it a good try. And I was getting quite in a tiz. I'm terrible. I'm no good. Take a leaf out of Marion's book. I should, because she deals with it wonderfully. Impassive. There's a wall there. Looking away. Gazing off at Halfords. Order was not restored until I promised. I said, look, I'm giving you my word. I said, I'm going to go and get you some strawberry fizz bombs. And then they're like dogs, you know, waiting. Of course, any parent will tell you that a strawberry fizz bomb has about as much of a calming effect on a small child as Vapone on a housefly. So, that should be my last meeting at the services, because I have been up to the board for my final appraisal. Yes. It felt like I was being court-martialed, like in a film. Partly due to the fact that I was wearing the uniform, partly due to my wearing the hat, and partly because for some reason or other, I saluted on entry. Why not? But I was given a clean bill. I'm free. I'm a free man. I have unrestricted access to my children. I think that's good news. Next time I see the boys, it'll be just the 3 of us. Just us. Goodbye the services. Geoff was a no-show. Again. I've not seen him now for months. The man is a slave to his career. A slave to his career. He said to me, I'm driven. And I was about to say, and I'm a driver, and he got in there first. He said, you're just a driver. I wasn't going to say just. Don't get me wrong, there's no competition between me and Geoff. Of course there's not. That said, when I first started to see my boys again, Alan, my youngest, he was calling me Keith. But that's all right, I understand that. But he was calling Geoff Dad. And that wasn't as easy. But now, things are changing around again. And although I'd like to think that it's because of my renewed influence, I think equally it could be just Geoff's growing absence. So although they haven't yet started calling me Dad, Alan has started calling him Geoff. And I think that's a very good sign, because at least now we're both back on first name terms. Peter's put his film career on the back burner, which I think is a very wise move. Got himself a proper job. He's selling insurance. I say it's a job, actually it's a course. Catherine's idea, she said it was time for him to stand on his own 2 feet. And it makes sense. I think, in a way, it's something that he had to do. Well, he did. I mean, Catherine said she would cut off his allowance. There he goes. I just dropped him off round the back of the course. That's what we do. It's a bit of fun, so the others don't see that he's being driven by a chauffeur. It's not easy for him, at all. He's having to look failure in the face. I've looked failure in the face. It's not a pretty sight. As my father used to say, only a fool doesn't look where he's going. My life has turned around really 360 degrees. When I had my little brush with the authorities and I came out, of course, Teresa, a lovely lady that I met at the laundrette, she said she'd wait for me, and she did. She waited until the father of her youngest reappeared on the scene, and good news, we're all moving to Spain. And I was actually very happy about that, because I think that a child should be with their natural father. Or in the case of Teresa's 3 other kids, with their brother's natural father. Well now, the maestro has taken to his new career like a duck to water, and it's lovely to see. For me, it's changed him. It's brightened him. There's a spring in his step. He's very taken with his teacher, although he doesn't call him a teacher, he calls him a guru. A lot of it is based around the military, which Peter finds fascinating. They take a lot of it from that Japanese book, Designing a War. For example, your clients are called targets, and when you're trying to get them to sign on the dotted line, it's called going in for a kill. Which I thought actually was a bit inappropriate for life insurance. I thought that's the last thing you want to say, because what if it just slipped out, you know, and you started talking about as if you were trying to kill the person that you were getting to sign. But Peter said, no. He said, that's not how it works. He said, you train yourself. And in fact, he said, nobody is sadder when a client dies than the life insurance salesman. Which I thought was actually a very nice touch, quite nice. But he said no. He said, dead men don't pay. It's arrived. My letter from the board. It's official. I am a dad again. So I didn't dream it. It did happen, but it had a happy ending. If I ever had to prove my fatherhood, then I've got the proof. If I mean, you know, with Geoff, let's say the two of us are at some kind of school event, and they say, right, who's the dad? Geoff would probably stand up and raise his hands. I think he sees himself that way. But I could say, not so fast, senor. Reach into my pocket and take out my letter from the board. Dear Mr. Barrett. Well, there we are. That goes to show you what you can achieve if you set your mind to something. Peter is a qualified insurance salesman. He passed with flying colours. He's got a certificate, and he brought it in and showed it to me. Beautiful, embossed around the edges, gold embossed. There were 3 different certificates to choose from. Luxury, Deluxe, and Emperor Double Deluxe, which was twice the cost. But, as Peter said, you can't put a price on education. It's all about training at the end of the day. You reap what you sow. Not just in agriculture. I think in every department of the store. I mean, look at me. If I'd had a different training, if I was trained by Nicky Lauder or Fittipaldi or one of those guys, I probably wouldn't be doing this. I'd be tearing around Monte Carlo chasing after Ayrton Senna. As it was, I had my driving lessons from Marion. She taught me to drive, Marion. So in a very real sense, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be where I am today. There we are. We're back in the bright colours. Yes, I think that's a good idea. It's the guru. He said, bright colours are like a uniform for the salesman who's going places. And that's an excellent thing. He's giving him a tip. He said, when you've got the target in your sights and you're going in for the kill, they're about to sign, he said, cross your legs. You dazzle them with your socks and you take their eye off the small print, which I think is wonderful. It's lovely. It's more the real Peter. I think it's more his style, the flamboyance. He's got his wedding ring back on. He said because it denotes stability, and I think that's a nice thing. He's also wearing a lot of aftershave because that means that you linger in a room once you've left the room. And they're thinking about you. If they're umming and ahhing, yeah, I think we will. I had an uncle, actually. Very, very similar. His presence would linger. There'd be an odour after he'd left the room. That all got cleared up with a homeopathic treatment. Peter set himself a challenge. He's going to sell a policy a month. Now that might sound overreaching, but wait, because the guru has given him some targets. Very good targets. Bullseyes, he calls them, bullseyes. And I think once they see Peter and his wardrobe and his smell, when he's crossing his legs in front of them, I think they'll find it very hard to resist him. And the good news is, he's going to use this as the office. They say in feng shui, they say, put your desk by the window, so you've got something to look out to. Well, for goodness sake, what is this if it's not a 360-degree revolving window? A gentleman's club is what it is. Actually very, very old, one of the oldest, if not the oldest in the world, and very, very difficult to join. Very exclusive. Very exclusive. But Peter will be in there 3 or 4 times a week. Remarkable. Remarkable. We'll just pull up here. He'll sit with his nose against the tinted glass in the back, eyes like an eagle. And when we see a cluster of men, he'll hop out and he'll just tag on at the back, make his way in. And he never gets questioned. As he says, what you do is you just mumble. And once you're in, you see, as he says, the world is your oyster. The world opens up to you. I can imagine him now. He'll probably be on his feet. There's a big lobby in there, he said, with wood panelling and a chandelier. And he'll probably be standing underneath that, just darting off at different angles. You know, a policy, sir? Are you covered, sir? For me now, very simple, just wait. Peter's done the right thing. He's gone back in to see his guru. See if he can pick up a few tips just to start him snowballing. I think all it takes is that first one. Apparently, the guru said he could no more give Peter back his money than Peter could give him back the motivation that he'd put inside his head. But that didn't wash with Peter. And as he said, he did the only thing that he could have done in that situation and used his fists. Catherine now is in there with our friends in blue, trying to sort it out. Well, well, well. This is like, it's starting to get like an adventure film. There's Peter hanging on by his fingernails, let's be honest, from the ledge. No hope in sight. And who should come swinging in on a rope but Sir Geoffrey Pike? Geoff, unbelievable. I'd phoned him on the off chance. I said, well, could you give Peter some of your time? And he said, I'll do better than that. And this is unbelievable. We are going out for the night, the 3 amigos, me, Geoff and Peter. He said, I'm going to take you out for the night. I'm going to show you what a travelling salesman's life is really like. Well, that's a bit of an eye-opener. Quite odd to see Geoff in a different sort of setting, out of the work setting. I haven't seen that for a long time. Very, not loud, that's not fair, but expressive. like his outfit. It was funny because he and Peter, two men who've never met before, one English, one American, but both turned up wearing very loud check sports jackets. And it was Geoff who said it's like the Persuaders. And of course that was it. Then they were bonded. They started talking about who had the faster car, Tony Curtis or Roger Moore. And in all honesty, it was like they were separated at birth. I mean, I think I can safely say Peter's education has begun, because he straight away ordered a bottle of red wine. Just said no. And then all these names were coming out of what they were going to drink. B-52s. Actually, that's a shooter. Sex on the Beach. They said to me, would you like Sex on the Beach? I said, no, I'm driving. We compromised. I had a brain hemorrhage. So then Geoff says, would we like to go to a club? Which, given recent events, for Peter was a real fillip. That was nice. I mean, I think it's good for Peter to go into a club now with his head held high and not to skulk. So there it is. Very nice. Very, very nice. I shall become a gentleman of leisure. I shall recline in a leather armchair.
In the middle of his life, left his wife. It ran off to be bad. Boy, it was sad.
Not the club I was expecting. It's a stripping club. I was all over the place. But fair play, Geoff knew the score. And Peter wasn't unfamiliar with the geography. Lovely girls. Athletic. Could be athletes. It's a bit like ice dancing. Is it a sport or is it... I mean, this isn't a sport. It's not a sport. Talked to one lovely girl, Chantel, very posh voice, actually studying philosophy, which you would never think. Probably definitely better qualified than me, and able to dance without her clothes on. She wins over me hands down. But I was a duck out of water with it. In all honesty, Peter and Geoff, they know the score. It was like being with a connoisseur. They pay the girls, in a way, they pay them the ultimate compliment of just sitting there and staring. So little sit down for me, and then I'll go back on for a bit more extra time.
Meanwhile then, his wife's boyfriend moved in and took over the house. Everybody was quiet as a mouse.
It was all going fine. All lovely. Chatting, hijinks, very, very nice. I thought the evening was coming to an end because it was slowing down. There was almost a lull. Conversation was stilted. And then Geoff said, right, let's go to the loo. He and Peter went. And when they came back, they were like different men. Skipping out of there, talking 10 to the dozen. But for Geoff, he was ready to make a night of it then. Sitting down in the chair, Chantel leaning over him, he grabbed her arm, pulled her down on top of him, face full of... couldn't hear what he was shouting at first because he was muffled. She shrieked. Over came a man, not the manager, I wouldn't have thought. He doesn't look like he would have the qualifications to be a manager. And squared up to Geoff. Peter, of course, is up like a shot. It's the Persuaders all over again. The two of them standing there, breathing through their noses. And I got up and I asked if anybody would like a drink. And Geoff said, get outside, get the car and have it running on the back. So... I've not seen anything like that in my life. It was barbaric. They piled back into the car like animals, like something out of a David Attenborough thing, like gorillas in the mist, but not upset, yelping with delight, shouting, Geoff shouting out, I'm the daddy. Peter cackling like a hyena, but his nose looks as though it's been broken. Geoff was waving around a little ring. I said, what is that? It's the nose ring of the man in the club. He ripped it out of his nose. Peter is covered in blood. I don't know what I'm going to tell Catherine, so I automatically assumed, well, we're going to go home now. I'll take you back. And they said, no, we know another place. And now they want me to find a parking space and join them. Well, make your mind up. Are you stopping or going? It's just there's nowhere. There is nowhere. It's absolutely chocker. I'm finding it actually very difficult to park. Geoff, I'm finding it almost impossible. In all honesty. Well, I'm in a disabled bay. I'm just hovering in a disabled bay and hoping that... I can't do that. Can I say no to that? Just... There's somebody making a yelping noise. I don't feel like I want to leave the car. I know... No, at my end. Would you be offended if I said I'm just going to wait with the... All right. I'm sorry. Consider it done. Consider it done, Sir Geoffrey. I tell you... I'm not disabled. I'm not. I'm disadvantaged.
And the days went by like paper in the wind. Everything changed, then changed again. It's hard to find a friend. It's hard to find a friend.
They're in there now. Drinking den. All quite murky, to be honest. Sticky carpet, smell of bleach. Geoff's adopted. I didn't know that. Didn't find his adoptive parents until quite late. And that's why he's a high achiever, because he was always worried they might send him back. That's why he's got an eye for the ladies. He wants to be wanted by them. Geoff met a woman a few months ago at a conference. One thing led to another. That's understandable, these things happen. But then things took a turn for the worse. Someone, he thinks it was her boyfriend, sent one of those mail shot emails around the office. With a very crude heading, and Marion got wind of it. Oh, hell broke loose. She's asked him to leave. Marion and Geoff have split up. But he's telling Peter he's not going to go down without a fight. He's already lost one family, he's not going to lose another. Taught Marion every trick in the book, he said. But it was alright, he's got one more hand to play. I was quite intrigued by that. I couldn't resist asking what it was. Suddenly he's staring at me with this funny look, because by this time I think he's finding it quite difficult to focus. He thinks Alan is his. He thinks my youngest is his. He's going to sue Marion and me for paternity. Then he made a strange noise, like a wretch. He staggered off to the toilet. By the time he came back, he'd been sick. Very sick. What a mess. Not a problem. Here we are. I got plenty of stuff. You can borrow this. Pajama. I do feel partly responsible. It was my idea to bring Peter out to perk him up, so